Day for you and your colleagues. First of all, the leadership has agreed to this. Do you think the rank and file will support it?
Well, I think everybody's going to be taking a look at this, taking a look at the fine deal. Look, I agree a little bit with that last comment, which is we should never have gotten to this point. We should never have gotten to the point where one group was literally threatening to bring down the economy unless they got the budget their way, ending the Medicare guarantee, slashing education. So in many ways, this has been about damage control, and I think people will be looking through this agreement to see if we've met that test.
We have talked with a number of people this morning and different lawmakers and others who give analysis of these things. One of the concerns seems to be from the Democratic side whether or not Democrats gave too much to Republicans here. Do you feel that way?
Well, the issue is whether at the end of the day we get to a balanced approach that reduces the deficit through a combination of cuts, but also closing a lot of the tax loopholes. And that whole question has been deferred to this committee. Here is the good news. The Republican proposal would have put us, the economy, right back in the same position 6 months from now. That's not going to happen. You're going to have a year-and-a-half extension of the debt ceiling. We protected Social Security, protected Medicare beneficiaries, prevented these deep cuts to education. So there are some good things in here in the sense of damage control. But again, I get back to the point that we should never have put the country, some people should never put the country in this position to begin with.
The president had been pretty adamant about not wanting to do the short-term deal, which, like you said, you don't want to come back 6 months from now and have to do this again. This is obviously going to have to be looked at again at some point. You said 2013. Is that good enough for now?
Well, in the meantime, you're going to have this group of 12 members of Congress, 6 from the House, 6 from the Senate, bipartisan group, looking for ways to try and reduce the deficit by another $1.5 trillion. We're hoping that that group will take the balanced approach that the president's called for. Yes, you need to make some additional cuts, but you got to start ending these loopholes. I mean, there's no reason that you and I and everyone watching should be paying taxpayer subsidies to the oil and gas industry. That kind of thing is unconscionable. Let's use some of that to reduce the deficit.
How do you feel that the process went? I know there's a lot of frustration on the part of the American people, frustration in the halls of Congress as well. How do you describe what's happened over the last couple of months?
Well, the president's absolutely right. It's been a messy process. Look, this is the first time in history, really, that one group, I mean, the reality is that it was a Tea Party group in the House, has used this debt ceiling to threaten to bring the economy down unless their demands are met. And, you know, that's why people say, you know, Ronald Reagan raised the debt ceiling 18 times. Has there been some debate about it before? Of course, but never has it been used to sort of threaten the economy in this way in order to exact certain demands. So the whole premise of this argument is wrong, which is why I think the test of whether this is a good agreement or not is, are we getting through by limiting the damage so that we can get on and start talking about jobs and the economy and really getting people back to work. That's what we should be focused on.
Let's talk about talking, first of all, because it's going to be a busy day for you and your colleagues in the House. You will get a chance at some point to vote on this. Discussion comes first. Nancy Pelosi has not exactly gone to endorse this so far. What do you expect will happen when you meet in session later today?
Well, the Democratic caucus is going to meet at 12 o'clock to talk about what's in this package, and so we'll have a little better sense then. Again, I think most people are measuring this by the test of what's the alternative and does this limit the damage? And as I said, some very important priorities from the Democrats were protected here. Again, no cuts to Social Security, Medicare beneficiaries are protected. We're not going to put the economy and the American people through this just 6 months from now, which is what Speaker Boehner's proposal would have done, and it leaves open the opportunity that this 12-person group can come up with a balanced approach. Now, the bad news is Speaker Boehner and others are already saying that they wouldn't accept any tax reform proposal out of this group that would help reduce the deficit, meaning you can't close any of these tax loopholes for the purpose of reducing the deficit. I hope the American people will weigh in on this issue, because between now and the end of November is when this group of 12 is going to be meeting and then making recommendations to the full Congress. I hope our Republican colleagues will reconsider this position, that, you know, their position has been You can't close one tax loophole for the purpose of deficit reduction. I hope they'll reconsider that so we can have a balanced approach.
Still far from over. It's been quite the battle so far, though. I hope you get things done today. I know you got a long day, and you look quite refreshed for having no sleep the last week or so.
Once you get, it's like the adrenaline kicks in, you just keep on going.
Try to make it through one more day at least. Congressman, it's always good to see you.
Good to see you, Steve.
Thanks so much. Al, back to you.
All right, 8:11. It is 82 degrees now on this Monday.